Most men completely misunderstand what women mean when they talk about emotional connection. They hear that phrase and instantly think women only want romance, sweet words, love letters, and deep emotional conversations for hours. But honestly, one of the strongest emotional connections women feel is sexual tension. The difference is that women usually experience attraction emotionally first before they experience it physically. That is why many men fail with women even when they are trying hard. They become too direct too fast. They say sexual things too openly. They kill imagination completely. And psychologically, imagination is one of the strongest attraction triggers women have. Welcome back. I'm Isabella, and if you enjoy deep conversations about female psychology, attraction, and modern dating, subscribe and help this channel move closer to 100,000 subscribers. Now listen carefully because today we're breaking down 5 psychological ways men create emotional and sexual attraction with women without sounding desperate, creepy, or overly explicit. Because honestly, the men women become most obsessed with emotionally are usually the men who understand tension, anticipation, subtlety, and emotional stimulation psychologically. The first thing men need to understand is that women usually respond more strongly to suggestion than direct sexual language. And honestly, this is where most men completely destroy attraction without realizing it. They become too explicit too quickly because they think direct sexual confidence automatically turns women on. Most of the time, it does the opposite psychologically. Women are often more attracted to what they imagine than what is directly said out loud. That is why subtle flirting creates stronger emotional tension than aggressive sexual talk. A simple teasing statement like, "You're definitely trouble," or "I already know you have a dangerous side," often creates more attraction than explicit sexual comments ever will. Why? Because now her imagination becomes involved emotionally. And psychologically, imagination creates anticipation. Anticipation creates tension. And tension creates attraction. That is why emotionally intelligent flirting feels so powerful. The man is not forcing sexuality aggressively into the conversation. He is allowing emotional curiosity and imagination to slowly build naturally underneath the interaction. And honestly, women usually become more emotionally attracted to men who can create tension without sounding desperate for validation or sex immediately. The second thing women respond strongly to is emotional confidence during flirting. And honestly, emotional confidence is very different from acting arrogant or trying too hard to sound dominant. A confident man does not force attraction. He creates emotional comfort while still maintaining tension naturally. That is why playful accusations work so well psychologically. When a man says something like, "You're flirting with me right now," or "You definitely enjoy teasing me," he creates emotional playfulness without sounding needy. The conversation suddenly feels more personal, more intimate, and more emotionally charged without becoming awkwardly sexual. And honestly, women love men who understand how to flirt without making interactions feel heavy or desperate. Because psychologically, emotional confidence signals control. A man who can tease calmly, smile naturally, and handle attraction without panic immediately feels more emotionally attractive than a man desperately trying to impress her every second. Another important thing many men miss is emotional pacing. Attraction usually grows strongest when tension builds gradually instead of exploding too early. That is why emotionally intelligent men often create stronger attraction because they understand how to slowly pull women deeper into emotional curiosity, emotional excitement, and emotional anticipation without rushing the process aggressively. The third thing that creates strong emotional attraction is teasing mixed with mystery. And honestly, this is something many naturally attractive men do without even realizing it psychologically. Instead of constantly explaining themselves or trying to impress women aggressively, they create emotional curiosity. And curiosity is powerful because the human mind becomes emotionally attached to what it keeps thinking about repeatedly. That is why playful teasing works so well. A man who smiles and says, "I feel like you're going to get me into trouble," creates emotional tension far more effectively than a man trying too hard to sound sexual directly. Now the interaction becomes emotionally playful, emotionally suggestive, and emotionally intriguing all at once. And honestly, women often become more attracted when they feel emotional anticipation instead of emotional certainty immediately. That is where mystery matters psychologically. A man who reveals everything too quickly removes emotional tension completely. But a man who leaves small things open, speaks with calm confidence, and allows attraction to unfold gradually keeps the emotional energy alive much longer. Because emotionally, attraction usually grows strongest when a woman feels curious, emotionally stimulated, and slightly excited about where the interaction could potentially lead next. The fourth thing women respond deeply to is emotional tension combined with emotional safety. And honestly, this is the balance most men fail to understand completely. Some men become too safe and predictable, which kills excitement. Others become too sexual and aggressive, which destroys emotional comfort. But the men women become addicted to emotionally usually know how to create both feelings at the same time. That combination is powerful psychologically. A woman wants to feel emotionally comfortable around you while still feeling emotional excitement underneath the interaction. That is why calm, confident flirting feels stronger than aggressive flirting. The woman feels tension, curiosity, attraction, and anticipation without feeling pressured emotionally. And honestly, this is why voice tone, eye contact, pacing, and emotional control matter so much during attraction. Sometimes the way a man says something creates more tension than the actual words themselves. Because attraction is emotional first. A man who remains calm, playful, emotionally aware, and slightly unpredictable usually creates much stronger emotional reactions than a man desperately trying to force sexual attraction into the conversation constantly. And psychologically, women often become emotionally attached to how a man made them feel during interaction long after the actual conversation itself ends. The fifth thing women respond to emotionally is imagination. And honestly, this may be the biggest difference between male attraction and female attraction psychologically. Most men become visually turned on very quickly. Women often become mentally and emotionally turned on first. That is why imagination matters so much. A woman's mind often creates stronger attraction than direct physical words ever could. The moment you make her imagine something emotionally exciting, emotionally dangerous, emotionally playful, or emotionally intimate without fully saying it directly, attraction starts building naturally underneath the surface. And honestly, this is why subtle sexual tension works better than explicit sexual talk most of the time. The brain starts filling in the blanks emotionally. And once imagination becomes active, emotional anticipation starts growing automatically. That anticipation keeps her emotionally engaged because now she is not just reacting to you physically, she is emotionally participating in the attraction herself psychologically. That is also why emotionally intelligent men rarely rush sexual conversations aggressively. They understand tension grows stronger when attraction unfolds gradually. A look, a teasing statement, a pause, strong eye contact, playful tension, all of these things activate imagination far more powerfully than obvious sexual comments too early. Because emotionally, women often become attached to the feeling of anticipation itself. At the end of the day, the men women become most emotionally and sexually attracted to are usually not the loudest men in the room. They are not always the richest, the most muscular, or the most aggressive either. Most of the time, they are the men who understand emotional tension, emotional confidence, subtle flirting, imagination, and psychological attraction. Because honestly, attraction is rarely built through desperation. It is built through emotional experience. The way you make a woman feel around you matters more than most men realize. A woman may forget exact words you said, but she usually remembers how emotionally alive, emotionally curious, emotionally excited, or emotionally comfortable she felt during the interaction itself. That is why subtlety matters so much psychologically. The men women obsess over emotionally are often the men who understand pacing. They do not rush attraction. They do not force sexual conversations awkwardly. They create tension naturally through confidence, teasing, emotional control, eye contact, calm energy, and emotional presence. And honestly, this is why many men unknowingly push women away. They focus too much on trying to impress women physically while completely ignoring emotional stimulation. But attraction usually becomes strongest when a woman's imagination, emotions, and curiosity become involved too. That is where emotional connection actually begins psychologically. Now, I want you to be honest in the comments. What do you think creates stronger attraction in women? Confidence, mystery, emotional tension, or humor? And if you enjoy these deep conversations about female psychology, attraction, dating, and relationships, subscribe now and help this channel move closer to 100,000 subscribers. Turn on notifications because the next videos are going even deeper into modern attraction psychology and emotional behavior.